was the King of Kings, the conqueror of worlds, but one woman's words would change the course of history forever. Alexander the Great stood before the last barrier, a river that separated him from total conquest. Beyond it lay a kingdom he had nearly lost to before. They had elephants, monsters that struck terror into the hearts of even the most veteran soldiers. But Alexander's resolve was unbreakable. He did the impossible. His father dreamed of uniting Greece. Alexander was on the verge of uniting the planet. He would fulfill man's ultimate dream. At such a young age, he would soon be the King of Kings. But behind the excitement loomed a dark thought, a thought that could ruin everything. Better keep it away, he told himself. He needed to occupy his troubled mind. He walked toward the camp of the wandering people. His soldiers spoke of a fortune teller who spoke their tongue, a woman like no other who could see your inner truth and tell you what you didn't know about yourself. They stood in line to hear her words. Alexander didn't have a better thing to do, so he decided to visit her. He watched the wandering people in awe. They were cheerful and bright, dealing in trade and metalwork. They didn't know violence. They just wanted to wander the world and live peacefully. The idea was captivating, but for Alexander, it was impossible. The peace he brought was bloody. While he worked night and day to keep an empire, these people enjoyed it. He was envious and disgusted at the same time. They talked about where they came from, a happy kingdom on the verge of the world, the last country he needed to rule to conquer everything. Alexander skipped the line of soldiers. The tent made him unhinged, but he didn't say why. He entered, and his wish became command. He sat facing the woman with eyes that drilled deep into his soul. She didn't speak. She just asked for his hand. King of the world, why are you sad? Alexander was taken aback. I lead an undefeated army. I am the king of a kingdom you can't imagine. Why would I be sad? The fortune teller calmly said, Yet, I feel sadness like no other, and I see a great disappointment looming in your future. Alexander didn't speak. There was truth in her words. The world is in your palm, yet this is not what you want. Was it your father's wish? She touched a hidden discomfort in his chest. King of Kings, will you be satisfied if you conquer the world? She asked. Will your father be proud of you? But your father is not with us anymore. To whom are you trying to prove a point? Alexander stood suddenly, raising his sword to her neck. Witch, how dare you speak to a king like this? The fortune teller mustered her courage. One can't escape the truth even on mountains or in valleys. Will your path lead to happiness or disappointment? Alexander froze. If a king can't decide where his happiness lies, who can? She said. The world's weight hung from his shoulders. He sat down without a word for a long, agonizing moment. Then he stood and threw his sword on the table. This is for your troubles. I don't need it anymore. He exited the tent, leaving his conquest behind. She hurried after him with his sword in her hand. When the soldiers saw her holding it, they recognized the sword that had nearly conquered the world. They all dropped to their knees in respect. Alexander gave her a treasure. He walked between his soldiers and found a rise. The last time he stood like this, he gave them a speech about going on, a speech that deterred them from rebelling. But this time, Alexander said, Soldiers, we are going home. It took them a few seconds, but then it dawned on them. They started cheering like never before. Finally, they could go home. The fortune teller watched them from beyond the river and smiled. Her mission was successful. She had saved her country. She walked day and night until she reached the capital. She was greeted like a hero. Her path to the palace was surrounded by cheering people. She had achieved what no army could. She met the king and said, King, I present to you the sword of Alexander the Great. No harm will come to our kingdom anymore. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Subscribe for more. Yours, the Counselor SFTG.